move to F, our discussion items. We'll start with number 1, graduation rates. Dr. Lewis, did you want to start the conversation?
Yes, ma'am. I'll start the conversation. Dr. Faulkner had emailed me earlier in the week with regard to a question about graduation rate and an online graduation program that's provided as an option to some of our students who do not make a passing score on the state assessments or a concordant test. And just for starters, and I apologize for not having something in writing for you. I just couldn't get everything done with this week. How it's been to, so you could have what I'm talking about and looking at it. So I'm going to try to share it with you verbally. And the particular program that we use, I think one of the questions was about Ed Minimum and Ed Options Academy. Now, we use Ed Minimum for credit recovery for students, who are enrolled in our schools. Credit recovery, GPA, issues if they can, try to get their GPA up through more coursework, which is part of our process in trying to achieve, graduation rate that would be acceptable, and also for students to receive diplomas. And I don't have all the information for 15, 16. We still need to process some of that, but I do have it for 14, 15, and we had 885 seniors, which I think was reported in a publication recently. Of that 885, we issued 756 standard diplomas. That in and of itself is a graduation rate of 85%, which is better than 60 of the 67 school districts, I think, if I counted right, alone. What we try to do is give these students who are having difficulty with the assessments and are making a concordant score, because for 10th graders, of course, you have to pass the ELA, 10th grade ELA, English Language Arts, you have to pass out EOC, and Algebra 1. And, so we try to monitor those kids. We start monitoring those kids. I mean, started in middle school, actually. But especially when they hit the 9th grade, we start monitoring where they are, with regard to credits, grade point average, and so forth. And those students who are perennially, level 1, lower, achieving students on the assessments, we try to provide instruction for them and support for them and helping them to pass the assessments, and some of them do. So that's a good thing. We did have 109 in 2014-15 that was reported. Our numbers on our database vary a little bit, but it's not probably 1 or 2 students that didn't pass the ELA grade 10 or Algebra 1. And what you have to remember is that these kids have all sat for a minimum of 5 assessments from 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Okay, so sometimes it might be 1 test, sometimes it might be both of them. If it's both of them, then that means they've sat for that assessment 10 times. They also, a lot of them will have taken the PERT, which is required for entry into the state college, in Florida State College, Jacksonville, which if they scored a certain level, that can be a concordant score for Algebra 1. SAT scores can be used, ACT scores can be used as concordant scores as well. So by the time we get through this process, towards the end of the senior year for that particular cohort, some of these students may have sat for an assessment or a test of some kind to meet this requirement, maybe up to 15 times. And certainly there are other districts that that do the same, provide the same option that we do in this regard, and that is an online option, which we use actually Penn Foster. We do not use the ed minimum or the ed options for that particular purpose. And that represented in 14-15 5.63% of our students that did not pass the ELA grade 10 or the Algebra 1 EOC or have a concordant score on the Algebra 1 EOC. Of those students, of those 52 students, 74% received diplomas through the online program. Our cost is $700 per student. In that particular year, we spent $48,750 on those students to provide that option. And my perspective on that is that we know this anecdotally that some of those students have gone on to college as a result of achieving that diploma. Some have been able to go into the military because primarily the military won't even accept you if you don't have a high school diploma. They will accept a few GEDs on a limited basis, but pretty much you have to have a high school diploma to even get into the military, at this particular time. We did have, out of that particular cohort, 11 students in the adult high school, and we also issued 9 special diplomas. And the special diplomas, you can't get credit for diploma for graduation rate purposes, in that area, because we've gone with the federal uniform graduation rate. State of Florida has gone into that in the past number of years. But we had in 2015-16, we had 27 students and spent $21,850 on that. 80% of those 27 students received diplomas, and and I think they're given a chance, and to go on and to pursue college or postgraduate study or military service or some job training, because that diploma means a lot to them, and a lot of them are very grateful and very proud to achieve that. But even I think one of the things that was brought out about that particular issue was about inflating the graduation rate. Well, our graduation rate as a result of that is 6 points higher than the 85% that received the standard diploma. So it bumped it a little bit. This year, and we don't have the 2015-16 graduation rates. The state has not released those yet. But I would expect it to probably have an effect on us of about 3% this next year. The 15-16 year is more representative of the number of students that we have that choose this option. All of them don't. This is an option that they have, and I think it speaks well for our district to have this option available for those kids. The other issue was about with regard to the Florida statutes and the authorization of this expenditure for that purpose. And I'm not going to try to go through. I know I've already talked longer than I anticipated. But there are a lot of different statutes that pertain to virtual instruction and digital learning. And I'll just read them all. 1002.321, which is the Digital Learning Act. 1002.45, which is virtual instructional programs, and that's actually the law that talks about the franchises, where each district is required to have one franchise like we have, and if you're not a sparsity district, I think you have to have 3, I believe, or something like that. It's more than one. And for our franchise, we have our My Florida Virtual, which is our district franchise, which is Florida Virtual School. And then we also have K-12 as franchise. So that's what that particular statute pertains to. There's also a provision in there for virtual instructional programs about provider qualifications. And, the programs that we use, do meet those provider qualifications. There's another statute, 1002.455, which talks about student eligibility for K through 12 virtual instruction. 1003.498, school district virtual course offerings, and 1003.53, dropout prevention and academic intervention. And the last one that I mentioned is primarily, the one that addresses the issue that we have with the online diploma option that we offer here.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Board members, any comments?